remember what JFK said: one person can make a difference and everyone should try. All right, so House Bill 7. So this was to change the apology statute in the Ohio Revised Code. So this is, I think, what most people think of as advocacy, actually trying to change the law. All right. So the apology statute at the time, and this was 7 years ago, was written, and it was modeled after legislation in other states that said to encourage prompt communication between the physician and the affected patient, evidence of statements by the healthcare provider that communicate apology, sympathy, commiseration, condolence, or compassion cannot be admitted in evidence. All right. And so what that meant was that if I took care of a patient and there was an adverse outcome, either the patient died or they had an adverse outcome, that per the apology statute on the books, I was allowed to go to that patient or their family and say, I'm sorry. Okay. In real life, that never happened. Okay. Because it's very hard to sit a family down or a patient down in real time or soon after and say, I'm sorry, I express sympathy and compassion and condolence, but not say anything else about what happened, right? And so that was important because it would say that you couldn't introduce that in evidence in a liability case, so a malpractice case. But in real life, and the reason I wanted to change the law is this actually happened to me. And that's a different talk for a different day about a malpractice case I was involved in that from when I took care of the patient to when it was resolved lasted 44 months. We wanted to be able to say a mistake was made or we made an error, and that also would be inadmissible. And so Amanda knew that this was a personal cross of mine, that I'd been involved in a terrible case. Patient was transferred from another hospital to our hospital, and I won't go through all the details. And a very unexpected death occurred, right? Didn't really know what happened. And I very clearly remember in the days after being told by hospital risk and hospital attorneys and our own attorneys, right? Because I work for a group that contracts with the hospital. Don't talk to anyone, right? And all I wanted to do was say, I'm sorry, and meet with the family. And I was advised not to because it would expose us to risk. And that wasn't right. Fast forward 44 months, we're 3 weeks away from trial. And at the pretrial hearing, I'm sitting in an empty courtroom with the patient's mother, who I've not seen in 44 months. And for better or worse, we just started talking. And my attorney came out for meeting with the judge and said, Mike, what are you doing? And I looked at my attorney. I said, for 4 years, I've told you I just want to talk to her. And he said, okay. And then her attorney came out from the judge's chamber, and he was really upset. And I said, we just want to talk. And I was dismissed from the suit that day. And over the next couple of weeks, through our attorneys and then directly, we actually exchanged some emails, and I actually met her and her husband because he wasn't there that day. And she said, I wish that people could have talked the way we did. I think it would be better for everybody. And I said, this has to change. And so on a random day in Columbus, at an Ohio ACEP Advocacy Day, Amanda, our lobbyist, knew this story and introduced me to, at the time, Representative Cupp, who was a past Ohio State Supreme Court justice and was in the House and was interested in pursuing liability reform. And we're literally standing there in the lobby of a hotel, and we just started talking. And he said, I think that there's something that we can do about this with your story. And so he wrote a bill. And after a number of times, right, because if a bill doesn't get through a General Assembly, you have to start over. Amanda's smiling, I think over 3 General Assemblies, right? But my partners were amazing. And sometimes I had not even 24 hours notice that there was a hearing, and my partners covered me and said, we got your shift, go to Columbus because we know you can do this. And I testified before the House and the Senate Judiciary Committees, and we ultimately got it passed, and the law was changed. And it was through my involvements and the support of an organization like Ohio ACEP that could happen. But that was one physician who wanted to take a personal experience that was absolutely awful and I would never go through again or ask anybody to go through. But the silver lining was I made a difference, and I know other physicians that have benefited from it. And without Ohio ACEP and without our presence and respect in Columbus, and Amanda, our lobbyist, and Laura, our executive director at the time, and the support of the board and the Government Affairs Committee, that wouldn't have happened. And so if you think you can't make a difference, you're wrong, because they want to hear from us, right? And again, this is, I'm not trying to brag when I say this, but to hear the bill sponsor talk about my testimony on the floor of the House when asking for a vote is one of the coolest things that I've ever had happen in my professional life. I have the video somewhere. We don't have time to play it today. And to hear him say that this needs to change, not just for the patients, but for the doctors too, right? Because I went through it too, even though nothing happened to my family. So that's why advocacy matters, right? That's why your membership matters, is that you can make a difference. To think you can't make a difference, so that an organization can't make a difference, you're wrong, because all you have to do is show up and tell your story. And we have the best stories.